Antasia Britt Armour here, and welcome to our brand, Antasia Britt Armour, where I am our brand space's owner, Antasia Britt Armour. So, welcome to our channel. So, today's topic, I'm going to be discussing um, DARE. I'm going to explain what this means. I know we're used to hearing this in schools as a drug program to kind of sort of just say no to drugs, but DARE here is going to stand for doing only things that we find absolutely rare and exquisite. And so the term DARE stands for I am doing only things that we find absolutely rare and exquisite. Oh, what does that mean? I'm going to tell you all exactly what this means via our explanation coming up. So, ears perked up, minds open, thinking caps on, and let's get right into it. Okay, so I was originally wanting to do this, have this done by Monday. So we're definitely going to do that as well. Okay, so so like what base, so this is the course that I wanted to go over because I knew that sometimes we just don't do enough things for whatever reasons. We just can't find the time. We just simply put things off. We procrastinate to the point where we just feel like time has gone by and we have nothing left else to give, and then we end up feeling like we kind of sort of have gotten stuck. So examples of things, if it's too hard to sit down in this one session, come back to this video whether you have a little bit more free time and jot down some things that you really like to do that you feel DARE is fitting for what that particular activity is. So for myself, I did reading, skiing, shopping, top diners, dinners, places that really were like, oh, you will never be able to see us there. Like, oh my God, we don't go there. It's like, oh, okay, why not? You know what I mean? I wanted to go to those type of places. I wanted to be seen in those places. I wanted to eat at those type of restaurants, 5-star resorts. I want to be in places that are extremely exquisite. Okay, so travel, cabin rentals, and cabin rentals are like being in the snowy mountains for some kind of holiday, whether it's something that you're dealing with a loved one for romance, or you're just paying for your family retreat so you can kind of sort of have your bond strengthened and connected a little bit more throughout the holidays. Something that's living aboard. I see on HGTV quite a bit that like maybe, well, I just see on HGTV that they actually have people who start to want to live internationally, which always looks really cool. They actually get quite a bit of bang for their buck. Peacemaking, loving as well. Just finding people that you can pour into as your love, yourself, your business, your brand, your clients, your neighborhood, your communities, and watch how those type of things benefit you all and enter into your flow. Found these answers from experience as well. So that means that sometimes you have to really take the time out to go into your own experiences and thoughts and things that you've traveled and you've witnessed firsthand. And that may take some time out to find these answers, but whoever seeketh findeth. So don't hesitate to figure out what these instances of things that are rare and exquisite means to you as a career woman or entrepreneur yourself and on your own. You can do these things. I know it's probably not the easiest thing in this world to continuously do, but you still can do it. So stop. So okay, so you remember earlier I had the prior post and video, so you all can check that out if you're interested in it as well. And it's all in the lives, and you will see each title, but this is particular speaking is not for that particular one. And so I just get so excited. And so normally speaking, when you have people who are dressing down, in particular speaking, you're not going to find shopping for the latest something that you really look into as an exquisite experience because you're not accustomed to behaving this way. So I really want you all to avoid this. I want you all to really learn how to practice being really thankful, grateful, and authentically, happily looking for things that aid into your flow. That's how you're going to actually benefit most and scale your business and your quarters for your profit. That's what you have to focus on doing. So for an example, I'll give you what can you do if you're thinking shopping as your frame of mind, and how do you actually go and do those things. So for an example, maybe you've been having your eye on a Chanel or Birkin or some kind of Alexander Wang. When you really are kind of just in that just that's an exquisite experience. You have allowed someone to take your name and number, to figure out your time that works best for what it is that you have going on. And then after you've taken out that time to really execute and figure out how you're going to be, so that means transportation, how you're going to dress when you get there, how you plan on dressing by the time you're leaving, when you're coming out, what it is that you're going to be able to do, how are you going to be able to kind of sort of make sure that all of these things aid in how you are going to experience this exquisite moment in time. This is what you want to think about. What kind of water is it you're going to want to sip? What kind of lunches are you going to want to pack? Because you cannot remain famished and still enter into your best life with flow. You have to figure out, okay, if you're going to bring your daughter along with you, if that's something that you're going to want to do, she has to be a certain way. She has to be cared for. She has to find a way to really manifest a appropriate moment so that she can figure out how to live out her own flow. And we can do these things. We really are able to do these things. And they're so exquisite. Let's say, for an example, Top Diners is we have I love the blogs that are on Instagram that are foodies. They travel and then they do the big tasting. So they eat at some of the most, or Man versus Food, the Food Network, or what is the Guy Five, something like that, and he drives to the spots and he has like the best sandwiches or things like that, places like that. I saw a guy online for Instagram and he was raving about all the top barbecue places, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I probably never. And next thing I knew, I was like, oh, cool, okay, this is something I could get behind. This is exquisite. And what's really exquisite is when you start to really pinpoint what it is that you did not want to deviate from, because there's going to be so many dupes that pop up. Everybody's going to be raving about it. Everybody's going to have something to do, and all they're going to do is be testing you to figure out, okay, you said that you really liked this one first. Okay, if you did that, then why are you over here and not with them? And then I want you to think about this answer and come up with your answers. Once you have your answers, I want you to analyze them and explain why you chose to not go with your original entity and why you went with them instead. And I want you to see what you come up with. I want you to see how many things you wish that you would have avoided in order so you can actually enter into your said flow by sticking with your original thought and plan. Because if you come up with some answers, maybe you could adjust course, which will be a good thing, instead of necessarily trying to figure out how you can go back in time, like a hot tub time machine, and redirect course so you can kind of sort of pivot your way back out of such a avoided type of scenario. That's what I want you to really focus on, because that's really where you start to have the manifestation periods come in. And I'm really been getting into how you can really just learn from so many things based off how you really choose to carry yourself. That's a really, 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 really big biggie. Because people just always are going to assume, and let's just say for living abroad, I mean living internationally, even if you will, because I think abroad people kind of sort of can take that and run with it in a negative way. And again, I want you to avoid this, Suzanne. You have to avoid negative experiences, but living internationally is a thing that I really enjoy doing most. And I think when, personally speaking, as my own brand, I have to really come to the terms with that and take ownership on board myself. Because when we live abroad, it's like schools and things like that have the control. They have to figure out, well, where you're going to stay, where your stipend is, how much is it going to cost us, and it's going to come out your FAFSA package. And when we are really living internationally based off our careers, then our own kind of sort of endeavors to have a successful career now leads the way in order to figure out where it is we're going to stay, what our stipend is going to look like. So the levels begin to necessarily go upper and tilter until we find an appropriate balance there, which is what we need in order to scale and enter into our best lives, which is dealing with our said optimal flow. Okay. All right. And so that's another point that I really wanted to kind of sort of make sure that we were really clear about. So living internationally means sometimes that we might need to have a visa. We might need to have some places, necessarily in the forefront of our mind of where we want to go when we are looking for careers, so that sometimes we can kind of sort of save in that sense that when we're ready to go and we actually are discussing the particulars about, well, what is necessarily going to be what our stipend is for living internationally or internationally moving, What are the numbers? What is our max spending limit? And when we think about what that number is, then we can kind of sort of begin to build a very clear, particular picture and image, almost like our vision boards, of what it is that we're looking for in the home when we actually are at that particular moment in time where we get to that point in particular, speaking of living internationally. Because once we're already in those throes, it's almost like little pieces that we get to put somewhere. So when we live in internationally, it's almost like you have to be able to really kind of figure out, what is it that I want to look like? Is it a sunset all day long? Is it going to be able to look at high-rise condos that have the top of the line amenities? Is it going to be being able to kind of sort of figure out how I can have a sunroom and maybe a sauna downstairs, so when the day is really hard, I know that I can look forward to coming home to a space where I can decompress? Is it going to be a space that is so ocean scenic views that most of the time I know I'm going to spend right in this particular section of our house? Is this going to be something that I can really lean into when times get hard, so that I can feel as though when I'm ready to leave out of hibernation, I can come out refreshed, ready to tackle whatever the day lies ahead, and optimal self flow, and have that energy carried on throughout the day? Because we all know how stressful people and their energy, their lack thereof, their inability to understand others, the reason why they constantly want to be in somebody else's face, the whole reason behind their international move may be just so you can leave behind your stressors of life in general. So no wonder the ocean view that you sit in throughout majority of your use for that particular view is of a said top in your desirables. Now, reading and skiing are also going to be some of your top exquisites as well, because skiing probably has really great 5-star resorts that you probably necessarily can't really look into. And even reading is also going to be another top and exquisites, because millionaires really are geared to reading particular fashions, whether that is going to be self-help, history, as well as I think those are the top two. History, self-help. And so I love novels as well, and I love magazines. So again, if you want to check out some books that we have, and I think autobiographies as well. If you want to check out our BarnesandNobles.com, if you want to go there, we have our books that are there. You can just put in our name and say just Shabril Moore, and we have biographies there. Only one is a memoir. Okay, so if you're interested in figuring that out, thank you very much. We need to sell some of those anyway. We need to sell at least 10,000 copies to break even. So I'm really asking you all to go and see what those are about. Those links are available on our YouTube channel, so you can definitely go there and click on those and really take your experiences to the next level. I'm just going to tell y'all right now that some of the names may be skewed. I know Andrew is in there for DeAndre. That's actually our Brand Spaces owners, and Tasia Shabril Moore's baby's father. And so you have to kind of sort of take that with a grain of salt. I wrote that at a particular point in time. I wanted you all to have that Tupac feel, kind of sort of like just back from the dead, or just walking around in the hologram. Like, I wanted you to feel everything that I had to go through to even create anything. So it might be some words in there that are a bit off, but realize it's like reading Huckleberry Finn or something like that. Some of the stories, or just basically really old original printed type of autobiographies to begin with, are very difficult to read and get through, and it's because they are extremely genuine. So I really want you to be able to feel that and understand where that mind and point of frame had actually came from when it comes to creating it. So that's why I did not ever really choose to do much more to it. I really wanted it to remain as original as possible and to remain original. So that was one of the biggie points, so that you know the biggest ones that I did not really want to interfere with unnecessarily, so to speak, just to make a profit. I really wanted it to have its moment, like Pox. I don't want you to do anything. I want you to feel every single ripple. Because of just exactly how you can see that this is not artificial intelligence. This is not nobody writing, no ghost writing. out my entire life. Like this is authentic thoughts. Like I don't need nobody to do that. I'm good as an entrepreneur and business women. Y'all don't understand this thought. If you've been in those predicaments before, you probably understand much more than other people do. So Suzanne, this is why I really want to make sure that you can have those set experiences. I hate to be that person who just takes away and never ever really have anything able to give to someone else, or when you give to somebody else, it's automatically taken back away because you didn't live up to what it was that you chose to have put out there. So that's a really big Debbie Downer. But in the end of the day, it's really what our relationships are about when it comes to dealing with our realities. Now, I'm not sure if anybody is able to really kind of sort of go back. All we can really do is forgive and move forward, especially as business owners and business women and entrepreneurs. That's really all it's about. But always make sure that you can avoid things and stand on your business and stand behind what it is that you are currently throwing out there for people to consume, because it's really not a good look when we start to really kind of sort of look back with intention and we are realizing that we may have failed a few of our clientele, so to speak, in order to make a quick buck. And again, that's not a good look. That's probably why we go through so many parties and we have such a reputation, and why we have to go through so many issues and things like that in order to even scale our businesses, whether it's in quarter 1, 2, 3, or 4, however the case may be, in order to just really figure out what our moment and time is supposed to have been. And that's just not a good look. That's just not something that we need to do. I know we probably just like are not really used to or accustomed necessarily, so to speak, to I guess people necessarily just being this way or even just behaving a certain way. But that's not what life is about. That's not necessarily a leader, so to speak. I mean, we have to be able to understand what's going on and taking place because of what it is that we're going through. So, we can't just always want to not do anything just because of the simple fact that we're scared, or it's easier, so to speak, to just continuously be just weakened to the point where we can't really be honest any longer with ourselves or anybody else for that matter. And that's just not a good look. That's just not something that we want to do, and it's not something that I could condone either. And it's just not, it's just really unfortunate that that's something that is going on and even taking place in our culture and in our community to begin with. It's a little sad, and it's not really something that I look forward to as a businesswoman and just as a woman in general. That's also another negative. So, I mean, as we move forward and you think of things that are exquisite, that's not one of them. So you always want to be mindful. Again, I'll say this and then we'll just leave that alone. Mindfulness is where it's at, y'all.